Root Magic, Chapter 6. When we walked in the door, Mama looked at us like we were wild children living out in the forest who'd come into her house asking for food. What in 7 holy bells happened to you two? You are a level mess. Mama, for her part, looked so pretty. She had on a clean starched dress, not new but nice, and her hair was twisted in one of those knots she liked to wear when it was too hot to hold a decent curl. Her beige apron with the green palmetto trees was around her waist. Nothing, I said. You don't look like nothing happened, she said, hands on her hips. We was playing, Mama, that's all, picking up crabs and stuff. Jay moved a hand toward his pocket, but the look on Mama's face stopped him. I wish you would leave those things alone. Not like you can eat them. Go on, wash up for dinner. Your hands and face and those alligator-looking feet, use the basin outside, not the one in the bathroom. We both mumbled a yes, ma'am, and rushed back outside. Jay and I dragged the tub over to the water pump in the back and filled it. The sun had heated the pipes so the water was warm when we soaked our washclothes. We scrubbed our faces and hands, then took turns sitting on the edge of the tub scrubbing our feet. Back in our room, I rubbed Vaseline on the bottoms of my feet before I put on my house slippers. But Jay stuck his feet in his slippers dry. Feel better now, he asked. I nodded. I think so, but something is out there, Jay. I don't feel right about it at all. Jay was quiet. I could see he maybe didn't really believe me about what happened, but he helped when I needed him to. That was good enough. I patted his arm and said, let's go. He followed me out of our room and into the kitchen where Mama and Doc were sitting at the table. Bowls of stewed butter beans with bits of crispy salt pork sprinkled on top were at each place on the table. In the middle sat a big pot of white rice. A bottle of vinegar hot sauce set in the middle of 4 glasses of iced tea, the edges of each one sporting a wedge of shiny-skinned lemon. We fell on the food, spooning the peppery bean soup ladled over fluffy rice into our mouths. It was warm and comforting, even in the heat of the kitchen. And when Mama placed leftover biscuits on the table, we didn't complain about not having fresh ones as we usually did. We dipped them in the creamy soup, thick with onions and bits of roasted meat, and jammed them between our lips. Jay went back for more soup, but all I wanted was more rice. I reached for the pot and refilled my bowl. Easy, easy, Doc said, laughing at our eagerness. Where's the fire, y'all? No one is going to take the plate out from under you. Take your time, enjoy it. We slowed down as instructed, but still finished our dinner way before Mama and Doc. Jay and me sat, wiggling in our seats, waiting to see what we might be getting for our birthdays. Looks like you better handle business, Janie, Doc said, reaching for another biscuit, or you'll get holes worn in the bottom of those chairs. Mama agreed and got up from the table. I don't know what's got into you two today. Frantic as bats out of torment. 11, Doc said. That's what's got into them. Mama went to her bedroom, shutting the door behind her. When she came out a few moments later, she had 2 packages wrapped up in the brightly colored comic section of the newspaper. Me and Jay gasped. Then we clapped our hands. I was just as happy to see Mama smiling as I was to get my gift. Thank you, we said at the same time. We hugged them. Me with Mama first, then Doc after. Jay went the opposite way, Doc before Mama. Lordy, I swear, never seen you kids act so grateful in all my born days. You haven't even opened things yet. Doc chuckled. Oh, and you can add this to your gifts. He reached into his pocket and held something out to us. I took the circle of what looked like braided branches from his hand, while Jay stared at his. I elbowed him in the side. Ow, he yelled. Then he took the circle and looked at it like it was a nasty thing on his shoe. What is it? I asked. Remember the roots I showed you yesterday? I did. The devil's shoestrings? Yes, these are bracelets I made from 11 of them woven together, Doc smiled. What do you think it's for? Protection, I guessed. I rubbed the bracelet made of twisty vines. That's right, Doc nodded. I could tell he was pleased with my answer. My grandmother used to say if you tie up devil's shoestrings, it'll trip up any evil that's after you. Wow, I said, sticking my hand through. It fit perfectly. I twisted my arm back and forth to see the bracelet from all sides. It looked like a tree had wrapped its roots around my wrist. I put my hand in my pocket where Dinah was to show her my new jewelry as I thanked Doc for the gift. Is that story true? Sure is. Doc finished off his dinner and took his plate to the sink. You wear that on your ankle or your wrist, and one of these days I'm sure you'll find it helpful. I will, I said. Boys don't wear bracelets, Jay pouted. Some boys and some men do, Mama said. Remember, these are gifts, and we could take them back real easy. So what do you say? Thank you, he muttered, but he didn't put his on. Red hot in the face that we had to be reminded of our manners, me and Jay both sat in our chairs and carefully peeled off the sticky tape from the colorful sheets of newspaper, making sure we didn't rip or tear any of the word bubbles in the process. I folded mine as close to the way it had come as I could and set it next to me for reading later. Jay's was crumpled, but still carefully set aside. He got his package open first. Oh, yeah, his excitement was plain on his face as he held up the balsa wood airplane model kit. It included a tiny paintbrush and pots of paint to make the plane look like it was from the war. Hope you ain't too sick of painting to want to get that done and ready for flying. No, sir. He was already looking at the instructions on how to put it up together while I opened my gift. I got a new dress for Dinah, a tiny scrap of yellow trimmed in red polka dots. There was also a little package of hair barrettes with the same polka dot ribbon wound through them, which were for me. They're so pretty. Do you want to wear them to school? Mama asked. I can put them in for you. Maybe. I didn't want to wear anything that was going to call more attention to me. Maybe I can save them for special times. Mama nodded, even though she looked a bit disappointed. My heart sank into my tummy. I squeezed her tight. Lord, they grow up fast, don't they? Doc was setting out his pipe and tobacco. Come on, Janie, serve the cake before I go light this up. Cake and pipe smoke don't go together. There's cake? Jay put the airplane box down on the table and looked around for it, his eyes bright at noontime. We hadn't seen Mama's cake tray, the metal one with the matching covered lid, when we came in. Now that we were looking, we still didn't see any cake, but the scent of it was on the air, brown sugar and warm butter. Mama went to the stove and took out her big iron skillet with a folded-up kitchen towel and her oven glove. She set the pan on the top of the stove and placed a platter on top of it. Then she turned the whole thing upside down and lifted the skillet, revealing a birthday cake. She brought the platter to the table, and we oohed and awed, bringing a bigger smile to her face. Rings of pineapple lay on top of a yellow cake, with rivers of brown sugar syrup running down the toasty-looking sides. A plump red cherry lay in the middle of each pineapple ring. Mama and Doc sang happy birthday to us, and Doc cut one huge slice and put it on a plate between me and Jay. We always shared one piece of birthday cake. It was good luck to get the first piece of your birthday, so that was the fairest way to do it. I took one big triangle of cake on my fork and ate it real slow, but Jay ate his half of the slice like it was going out of style. All the moist, sweet treat was gone before we sat back in our chairs. His finger traced the syrupy puddles on the plate to get the last bits. Thanks, Mama, I said. Can we be excused now? We? Jay asked, eyeing up the bits of Doc's slice that he hadn't finished. I tried to give my brother the same stare that Mama used on us when she expected us to fall in line, but it didn't work. He kicked me under the table. Mama poured cups of coffee for her and for Doc and told us we could both go. Both, she said again, when Jay didn't move. He got up, trailing behind me. I could feel his eyes jabbing into my back. When we got to our room, he asked, What'd you do that for? I laid Dinah's dress and my hair barrettes on the bed, because we need to talk about what happened. You getting stuck in the mud? I wasn't stuck, and you know it. Something was holding me there. Jake poked out his bottom lip. Wasn't nothing pulling you down. I didn't say it was pulling me. I said it was holding me there, so I couldn't get loose. Not until we shoved that stick covered in blue paint in the mud. Paint blue in the mud. And I heard a voice. You feel up, huh? You fool up, huh? I did hear it. I swear. I'll swear it on a stack of Bibles. My mouth tightened up into a line. He looked at me sideways, then went to the milk crate by his bed that served as a night table. Jay plucked out a small book, and I recognized it as one Jehovah's Witnesses gave out. That's only half a Bible, Jesus' part. This the only one I got. You gonna swear on it or not? I put my right hand on the Bible and held my left hand up. I swear. Jay stood back from me in case God struck me down for lying. Then he said, Okay. He sat on his bed, flipping the book around and around in his hands. Well, what do you think? Jay shrugged. I don't know. What'd the voice say? I sat on my bed across from him. That it was time. Like this. I made my voice all whispery and light. It's time. But did it sound like, He fought for the right words. Scary? I think so. Should I tell Mama or Doc? Jay put the book down and crossed his feet over each other so he could pick up a bit of dead skin on his heel. You know, Mama don't really want us learning root. If she thinks something bad happened or that you're scared, she'll make both of us stop. Yeah. I picked Dinah up and held her close. I knew what Jay said was true, but I also knew that Gran and all the other witch doctors and root workers and healers before her put up with a lot more than voices in a marsh or some silly girl's jokes. They faced real danger to help others. I remembered about a year ago when the police got in their minds to investigate all the witch doctors and root workers in the area. They were going around and knocking on everyone's doors, whether they did magic or not. If the person didn't let them in, they busted down the door and went in anyway. Sometimes they dragged people out of their houses. Sometimes people got shot, and sometimes they just disappeared. That was the first time Deputy Collins came to our farm. Gran told me and Jay to stay inside while she spoke to him. I remember the look he gave her, like she was a nasty bug he wanted to step on. His voice got louder and angrier with each word he spoke, and his fingers did a little tap dance on the gun hanging around his waist. Most of all, I think he hated that Gran didn't act scared of him. Truth was, I was scared, but I did my best to hide it. Gran had told us when we were really little that some people would hate us on sight because of our color, and some would hate us because we were a root-working family. She said we would never run from each other, either one, because Turners don't run from nobody. No matter what happened at school or in the marsh, I wasn't going to let her down. If I can't tell Mama, I can't tell Doc either. He's going to tell her whatever I say. True, Jay agreed, but if you don't go back out to the marsh, Doc will ask why you ain't going. Then you're going to have to tell him, and he'll be mad you ain't said nothing before. Jay paused like he was going to say something more, but changed his mind. Then he straightened up his back, and words rushed out from him like an untied balloon. If something's wrong, you got to say so. The longer you hide it, the harder it is to, Besides, when did Doc ever not know something he needed to know? I screwed up my face. Dinah lay on the bed, and I turned to dress her in her new outfit. Her red stitched smile had flattened out, like she was judging me. I shook my head and whispered, I can't tell him, Dinah. I put her on the windowsill where I could see her, but wouldn't have to look directly into her face. Before I could ask Gran for her help, she always knew what to do. But I couldn't ask her anymore. The crack of wood breaking startled me, but I let out a breath of relief when I saw it was only Jay punching out the piece of his model airplane kit. He spread them out on the bed. The cover of the box showed a picture of a plane with gray and blue and white coloring. Tomorrow I'm going to ask Doc for some red paint. Know why? I shook my head. Because the only Negroes allowed to fly in World War II had planes with red tails. How do you know that? I'd never heard Jay talking about planes and flying before. My friend Larry at school told me. His uncle was one of them pilots. He has a picture of him in a uniform and everything. Jay carefully laid out all the pieces of his model airplane like they would break if he was rough with them. They called the Negro pilots red tails or red tail angels, but the stores don't sell these planes with red paint. Why not? I asked. I don't know, probably because they don't think it's important. It's like they don't want us to know we have heroes too, Negroes who were brave and not scared. They fought in a war, I said. I bet they were scared. Jay sighed and touched the set of paints. Yeah, but they did it anyway.